introduce someone, he pinged me and asked me to do this. It's like, you gotta be kidding. I have to stand in front of people and introduce you. All right, I'll do it. I asked if I could do it on Zoom because I'm more comfortable there, but obviously I can't. Anyway, I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet because I don't want to tear up and look weak in front of people. But anyway, Gerry, my man. I remember when I first met you back in October of 2024? Three. Sorry. Wow. First day, and we connected. We hit it off pretty well, and you gave me your story, and it was very inspiring, and it made me realize, wow, there's some things in life that you can't take for granted. So I'm really excited for you to share your story with people here. It's a tough one, it's a deep one, but it's very inspiring. I just want to say thank you for giving me this platform to stand in front of all these amazing people and show my face. I like to hide in the shadows, you know that, but I really appreciate you a lot. Thank you for being my friend. You are the man, you're a legend. You are the GOAT. I'm giving you your flowers at the front. Gerry, Polcari, please.
It was a pleasure to meet you all. As Roy mentioned, I'm Gerry Polcari. I'm Vice President of Advanced Planning here at Fidelity. And I have a story today to share. It's really nice to be here because, quite honestly, I probably should be dead, but I'm not dead. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story today. I'm in a club I never expected to join or never asked to join, where survival isn't assumed and life as we know it can change overnight. I'm going to share a story about love, kindness, resilience, and gratitude, all topics we've already heard a lot about. So, my story starts really in early 2020. I was living my best life. I had a career that I loved. I had a family that I loved. I had 3 kids through college. My wife and I were planning our eldest daughter's wedding. We had no idea how drastically our lives were about to change. On March 23 of 2020, many of you remember March of 2020, COVID was breaking. I think the 23rd was the day the market actually crashed as a result of COVID. I worked as a financial advisor. I had a really long day. I came home from work feeling sort of punk. I said to my wife, I don't feel right. We didn't think about it. I had dinner with my son and my wife. And after dinner, tremendous pain, chest pain, that radiated across my chest and my back and down my left arm. Classic signs of a heart attack, I thought. I said to my wife, I'm having a heart attack. We rushed out of the house, brushed past my son. Don't worry, I said to him, I'll be fine. I never said, I love you. I never even said goodbye. So don't take time for granted. Say the things that matter to the people you love every single day. At the ER, COVID protocols were in place. They would not let my wife in with me. She dropped me at the door and they sent her home. That would be the last time I would see her for more than 3 months. Turns out I was not having a heart attack. In fact, I had suffered a gallbladder attack that had quickly put me into septic shock and organ failure. My kidneys and liver failed. I remember floating towards the light. Joe Van Doorn said this yesterday. It was not frightening. In fact, it was oddly comforting. I remember thinking, is this how my life ends? But I had so much to live for. My mind would not let my body fail. Later, doctors told me the only reason I survived was because my heart did not fail. I quickly realized, or rather, when I awoke, it was like being in the Twilight Zone. I had no family, no friends, just strangers and covered in protective gear. I quickly realized I had a choice to make. I could choose to be a difficult patient, or I could choose to live by the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. The kindness that I gave and showed the nurses was returned to me tenfold. I was in a hospital room at Mass General Hospital with a room that looked at a brick wall. I didn't know if it was day or night, okay? And when the only room on that floor opened up, the nurses rushed to my room to move me to that one room at the window, overlooking the Charles River in Boston. It was from that window that I was able to watch spring turn into summer. I'm forever grateful for that. But my health kept collapsing. I wasn't getting better. Late one evening, I went back into septic shock. They called one of those codes, in the hospital. I don't watch enough medical shows to know. But my doctors and nurses were surrounded by death. They were trying to save my life. I remember asking the nurses to please tell my wife and kids that I love them. I had learned lesson one. In May of 2020, my doctors told me, your liver has been destroyed. Your only hope for survival is an organ transplant. How could this possibly be, I said. I had signed up as an organ donor at 16 years old and never gave it another thought. Never in 1,000 years did I ever expect to be on the receiving end of a life-saving organ transplant. So prepare for the unexpected. In late June of 2020, I was finally discharged from the hospital to wait for transplant. I had lost 50 pounds, was on a feeding tube, and had 7 drains in my abdomen. It was a shell of my former self. I wasn't home for long. 4 days later, I was back in the hospital with sepsis. And so began the cycle. Home, then sepsis, and back to the hospital. More and stronger antibiotics. A cycle that continued again and again. In my practice, I would always tell my clients to prepare for the unexpected. I just never expected the unexpected to happen to me. Fortunately, I was well planned. I had a healthcare proxy, my finances were in order, I had a list of passwords. My wife was able to make medical decisions for me because I was out of it. And she was also able to pay our bills and manage our affairs. It was a very, very dark time. I had to wrestle with the whole idea of an organ transplant, realizing that someone else had to die so that I could live. The concept haunted me. But amid all this darkness, something beautiful happened. Family, friends, neighbors, even strangers showed up. People I never met prayed for my recovery. Love surrounded us. We have no idea how many lives we've touched, but recognize that we are not alone. Love will show up when you need it most. By the summer of 2021, my condition was continuing to deteriorate. I had received several calls for possible transplant, but the stars would not align. Hopes were raised and dashed. It was an exhausting, emotional roller coaster. In the meantime, the recurring sepsis had resulted in antibiotic resistance. My doctors told me that my only hope was to move to Florida to the Mayo Clinic. They thought my odds would be better. They told me I was going to die of infection. But one last milestone, our daughter's wedding. It never happened in 2020 because of COVID and because I was in the hospital. So in about 2 weeks' time, we organized a 20-person wedding. There was no way I was leaving Boston until my daughter was married. At this point, I had been sick for more than a year. As the wedding day approached, about 3 days before the wedding, what happened? Was back in the hospital with sepsis. I begged the doctors to release me, and they did, as you can see. Walking her down the aisle was one of the greatest gifts of my life. I was barely standing, weak but standing. I said to my wife, it looks like someone dug me up. So life is uncertain. Celebrate the messy, imperfect beauty of now. In Florida, I waited and waited. Months went by. I received several more calls for transplant. They all failed. I hoped for a miracle that seemed like it might never come. In a hospital bed one day, with yet another bout of sepsis, I expressed my concern to a priest. Someone had to die in order for me to live. Maybe this was not meant to be. Perhaps it was my time. He said I was thinking of this all wrong. He said you need to think of life as a relay race. Your donor's life and purpose here on earth has been fulfilled. They are passing you what you need to fulfill your purpose, whatever it may be. So simple, yet so profound. So seize the day. Find and live your life with purpose. Love what you do or change it. Recognize that sometimes the universe will change it for you. On February 28th of 2022, nearly 2 years, I had been sick nearly 2 years, at 1 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang. This was the 7th call for possible transplant. I'm not even sure who the phone rang. My wife kicked me. I would not let myself believe that this might be the call, but it was the call. Lucky 7, I guess. When I awoke after 8 hours of surgery and nearly 2 years of being suspended between life and death, I felt real hope again. My recovery was not easy. I was cut from hip to hip, but my life had been restored. The world came alive in Technicolor. I have no other way to explain it. The sky was bluer, the grass greener, the air sweeter. I could not really believe it. I am forever grateful to the angel who said yes to organ donation. After I recovered, I was determined to wrestle control of my life back from the universe that had stolen it from me. I wasn't given the second chance at life to sit at home. I wanted to soak up the beauty of being alive. So at my 1-year liveversary, that's what we call it in the business, we took a family ski trip to Breckenridge, Colorado. My doctors were aghast. I promised to avoid the expert trails, and we did. And in October of 2023, I was hired here at Fidelity and was able to reclaim some aspects of my former career. Stronger, more focused, more grateful. I volunteered at the Mayo Clinic on the transplant floor. I advocate for organ donation as a spokesperson to raise awareness. I mentor patients waiting for their miracle, providing them with hope that they so desperately need. And the greatest gift, of course, was more time with my family. In January of 2024, we welcomed our first grandchild. Our son will be married this summer. Moments I once thought I would never live to see. All this because a stranger said yes. My life was saved by a stranger. So please consider registering as an organ donor. There are more than 100,000 people in the U.S. waiting for life-saving organ transplants. You might just save someone's life. Someone like me. Thank you.